There's another red.
Fur Life is proudly sponsored by Uncle Freddy's Gut Glove, The Buck Cage, Comstock Custom Cages, Dusk to Dawn Bow Fishing, Mountain View Guide Service, The Stealth Screen, The Raptor Razor, Night Owl Lures, Wolf Creek Products, J3 Outdoors, PCS Outdoors, Lennon Lures. Today's episode is brought to you by the Raptor Razor. Now let's go set some traps.
Hello, welcome to Fur Life. My name is Brian Flowers. This week on this episode, we're going to be out in southeastern Pennsylvania trapping canines with Johnny Crawford. He lives down there, so this is actually Johnny's line. So, you'll see a lot of Johnny because he does my editing and stuff like that. Really good photographer. So we're on the line right now, and I just got a couple hours left until daylight. So we're gonna finish setting this this new piece of property I have here, and they got a bad beaver problem. So we're gonna get back at it, and I hope you enjoy it.
All right, Brian, it's a really windy, chilly morning here in Southeast PA, and we got first fox, first catch. First stop. Last night the temperature went down almost 30 degrees in one shot, and so foxes moved yesterday. We only had one fox, but here today, first place we got, we beat that. So why don't you tell us about this location, what you think of it?
Well, basically you got the logging, or the road here.
Tractor path, yeah.
Yeah, tractor path with a crop change right here in the corner. I mean, you have corn on this side, corn on that side, with I guess that would be.
It's alfalfa, yeah.
Alfalfa. Yeah, I mean, perfect spot. You can see it's where the farms.
Yeah.
Left and right of us.
The way we run here is we can check that trap from right there. I seen that fox and we came right in off the road.
Yep.
Yep. So hopefully I'm pretty sure this cold front we had, which was a major front, we'll kick them into gear. Yeah. This is the third one here for me, and we're gonna get this guy taken care of and get some more traps checked. So yeah, it's a good start to the day.
That's great.
Yep. All right, Brian, so we're here on my line here in the River Hills, and we want to show a couple different things here. We've been targeting coyotes, and we did catch one. Me and the boy caught one. Let's look at the location here. We're on a crop change, and there's a big brush pile here, and there's also a ditch. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a low spot in land here. It comes up out of the woods and comes up here. Everything points up here. And of course, we're always on wind direction, so the wind is coming from this way primarily, from the northwest. So that's why I have the traps on the upwind side. We've got a problem here, and we pulled up here and we thought maybe we had a coyote that got away. We got a catch circle and a trap that's gone, and we had to sit and...
Yeah, the earth anchor's still...
Earth anchor's still there. We had to sit and think about this, because the first thought, you know, kind of got paranoid that maybe a coyote got in there and got out, but the catch circle is not big enough for a coyote. If we notice that, see, I had that number 3, and the number 3 with the chain would be out about, a foot.
Yeah, well, it'd be out to there, right?
Right.
And then that coyote would be out here.
Yeah, way out. So probably this is a fox that got stolen, because I'm sure that it didn't get off. I mean, you can actually see the earth anchor there, the loop. So that was probably somebody decided to help themselves to that. But sometimes when you have situations like this, you need to just kind of stop and think, you know, where maybe you went wrong, or you know, what actually happened before you make accusations or whatever else. You definitely don't want an animal to be out there with a trap on its foot.
No, that's for sure.
Okay, so yeah, so anyway, we're in the River Hills. We got 2 more places to go. We got the boy with us, and hopefully we're going to get a coyote. We're pulling here because there's some bad weather coming, but yeah, we're in the River Hills in southern Lancaster County.
And we usually snap off traps for deer season anyway. Deer season's
deer season's coming up. Yeah,
don't want to ruin anybody's hunt, so
yeah,
they'll take 2 weeks off and come back.
So yeah, we wanted to share this spot. These brush piles here, I always tend to set them.
Ideal.
Yeah, ideal. And sometimes I stay away from them because of the, you know, possums or skunks or whatever. But in a situation like this, this was the best location. But the thing that I really like about it is that the low spot actually comes up here, and it actually continues. If you look, I'm gonna turn around this way. It really just runs right through there, and they do like to run those little ditches.
Whales, yeah.
Yep, little fingers. So, well, I guess we'll keep on the line.
Yeah, let's go. Well, here we are at this location here. We're on top of the knob. It's like a 4-way intersection where these fields come in the logging road. You can see the long running barrier we have in the background there is that river. The fox and coyotes will not cross that river. It's so long. It's so wide across there, and unless it freezes, and it very rarely freezes completely. What we had here is a couple sets. We got a coyote here the other day. Nothing here today, but as you can see, just a great area. I mean, you can see this swale in the back, and just the way it's set up, it's just a perfect area. Just unfortunately, we didn't get nothing here just today, but we will get something in the near future, and we're gonna check these out and then go on to the next one. How you doing? He's got nice fur too. What do you think, buddy? Huh? So I just made a scent post right here by that corn. I had a few rows of standing corn here just to feed the deer, and a lot of deer sign back here, a lot of tracks. So I just made a scent post there and caught his attention. Yeah, up above here, there's the other one, but seeing it bouncing around, it's just starting to get daylight now. Looks to be a raccoon, so that's all right. Get some skinning to do. Nice big, nice fox. Well, John, here we are at one of your spots.
Yep.
What would you tell us a little bit about what you look for here?
Well, we're here in Southeast PA. I've been producing your video for you, and it's been a real treat. And I'm in what they call the last fox stronghold in the U.S. It would be like PA, Maryland, Virginia, Delaware. And so we're in southern Lancaster County where I live. And this is a spot I've trapped for, I guess about 25 years. Between myself and the legendary Phil Brown, we've probably taken somewhere between 500 and 800 foxes off of this farm in the past 25 years. Him probably taking a few more than me. What we're going to talk about today is dispersal locations. And this is something I discovered as being an O'Gorman student and also a student of a couple other top trappers. In the West, the drainages are quite profound. And the fox and coyote, when they have their pups, Mom always takes them to the staple of life, which would be, what's the staple of life? Water.
Yeah.
So Mom takes them to water, and out there everything is so dry in the West that, and the drainage is so profound that when they have, when the pups leave the den, they hop on those drainages and they follow them like highways. The same thing happens here in Southeast PA, only it's not near as profound. So what I discovered is that the foxes will travel the drainages, and the longer the drainage, the more access to animals you have, because let's say there's a litter every 2 miles and you have a 20-mile drainage, okay? That means you have access to 10 litters, and they're traveling on that almost like a highway. Now, some would probably say that, you know, this is BS, but guys like Bud Hall, he would trap out there on some of the creeks. Those creeks are out there. They run 50 or 60 miles in Iowa, and he would trap at the head of it. If you could just picture like the map, my fist is where the drainage begins. Starts as a spring, little trickles, and it runs down. Well, every litter along that is running up through there, and he had the farms, especially at the head. The head of the drainage is the critical point, and he was taking. He was 1,000 a year fox man, and he would take sometimes 40, 50, 60 foxes on 3 or 4 farms because everything was converging right at that spot. This is what a lot of guys don't get. So, brings us back to here. What we have here is the head of a drainage. If you look, you can zoom in just a little bit. Right down here where these fence posts are is basically where the land starts to form a ditch, and it was partially made by the farmer, but it actually is a natural part of the land, and it goes down and it crosses a road, and if you look down there far enough beyond that house, it goes down there across the road. That finger turns into a little trickle, and that actually leads to a creek. That creek runs for 20 miles. So what happens is the foxes are traveling along that creek. They can't cross it because it's 50 yards wide. It's actually a river. We call it a creek, but it's basically a river. They won't cross it in the wintertime. So what they do is when they come up to that finger that shoots off, they'll follow it. They follow it right up to here. My traps are normally right down there, 2 of them right at the corner. And then Phil Brown would set 2 here, and we trap this farm together. If I miss a fox, they come here. Now, this isn't to say that a fox can't wander in off the back side, because, you know, they just kind of go wherever they want. But their main travel routes are drainages and creeks and rivers. This is something that we've talked about a number of different times. We've kind of shared philosophies and stuff. And you see those blockages where you're at.
Well, that's where I trap is like we have the Susquehanna River. Basically, and that's just the long-running barrier that I trap. Yeah. And we just have fields in between. We don't have necessarily this type of, mountainside.
Well, they'll also follow ridges, too. Like, Russ Carman's big on them following ridges where he's at. Like the whole top of a mountain, they'll actually run that. Any natural or unnatural line of travel. They're very, very simple animal. They just basically run on instincts. And, I've used this same philosophy in trapping in Michigan, Nebraska, a number of different, Kansas, and it works for coyotes and for foxes. This time of year, the pups are looking for a new home range, so they'll travel 2 or 3 miles and hang out at a place and then travel again. This is why one farm is good for 10 or 20 foxes and another one sometimes is only good for 3 to 5, because the lay of the land doesn't promote that massive dispersal travel, that migration. So we're going to go on to a couple more of my other farms and take a look. I appreciate you letting me be a guest on here. We've been swapping philosophy on fox trapping and stuff, and you have a beautiful area where you're at, and you come down here and you see where I'm at, and you're thinking you'd want to set every farm, but not every farm has foxes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
you know from doing it over the 20 years, which ones are the duds and which ones produce.
let me explain this to you a little bit further and why this is so important. You can pick these spots by opening up a map and looking for the head of the drainage. On the map, it would look like this. It would be, you know, just these little fingers that are springs that turn into creeks that then fall into a river. So if you find those places, you can find the farms right along this. And I must give full credit to Alan Claycomb and O'Gorman. I'm an O'Gorman student. Both of those really, those guys really drilled this into my head. And sometimes it's hard to wrap your mind around it, but it's better than trial and error of going out. Sometimes you do have to do that trial and error and get out there and just get out there and trap. But you can pick a lot of these great spots, the head of the drainage, right off a map. Mm-hmm. So let's check out some more farms.
There you go.
Okay?
Yep.
All right, so in this segment, we're going to be talking about farmland, fox, and basically canine trapping. We filmed some of this stuff, but it was real windy, so we're just kind of doing this here with a voiceover. You can see that the point of, there's little trees there in the foreground, intersects with that long line of travel there, and that's a great place that you'd want to set any of those outstanding features or points, like those trees right here. We're on one of my farms here in southeast PA, and a big place like this here, you'll see the multiple edges coming up. And a big place like this, if you have the population, you can set 6 or 8 traps on there. Once you start getting hot spots, then you pull out the dead ones. Here's a simple tractor path, and right here on the corner is where you would have a trap set. Keep it real simple. Here's another edge with a fox caught by the back foot. And here we just set a lot of tractor paths and intersections. They're all long lines of travels and edges. That's the key thing with canines. Here we're going to see a slideshow. We're going to start talking about doubles. You want to make sure you have 2 traps at a spot in case one becomes disabled, or one maybe catches a non-target, or you can get these doubles. Doubles on reds are common here where we're from. They sometimes run in pairs in late season and early season. Here's some ones we had with Brian Flowers we didn't get on video. And of course, it also works on coyotes. So that's about it. Let's get back to trapping in southeast PA. All right, Brian, so we've been running on my trap line here. I haven't done a whole lot in a while. In 2007, I did 300 foxes. In 2008, I did 400 foxes. Running about, first year was 60 days, second year was 100 days. And I haven't done a whole lot since then because I had to grow up and become a dad, and I've started a new career. So it's been interesting to be able to have you. Earlier in the week we had Glenn Witchy here from Wolf Creek Products, but then you came down and ran with me here, and did pretty good today. We had a day of 8.
Yeah, 8 today. And now I can understand why you get some big numbers here, because you have the fox here.
Yeah, well, when it connects, it works. And you know, we're running about 30 farms, and we try to hold a 10% catch ratio. Now, yesterday we only had 1, and that's because it warmed up. The day before that they ran, but we had a 25-degree temperature change.
Yeah, last time they were just out.
When that barometer moves, usually it's a day before when the barometer starts to move. It's kind of one of the great mysteries. Nobody knows really how and why. They know before the barometer even starts to move, they'll actually move that day before.
Same thing with coon trapping.
Yeah,
you get like the dead of winter, and then you know you have a warm up coming up, go set some traps.
Yeah.
The coon will be out.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, other than snow,
right.
snow will deter them, but cold weather, they get their warm-up day, that's when they'll start running again. And then,
Well, the week before that, we had a warm-up, a pretty good warm-up from about 10-degree warm-up, and the foxes move then. So whenever there's a warm-up or a major cool-down, they'll move. And I noticed that. I kept really strict records on that when I ran.
Mm-hmm.
And but I'm glad you're able to come along. And
it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, we pretty much
You got some reds around here for sure.
Yeah, we run real simple. We run 2 traps to a farm, and we'll go 2 or 3 miles down the road. Sometimes I'll set right next door to a place or whatever, and sometimes I will set it in a little bit harder, depending on the spot. We're here at a hub, where there's 3 traps right across there and stuff, just to kind of cover it. I also run places that I can check from right behind the barn, just because it's too problematic to walk when it's wet. And we're coming up on the monsoon here. December is usually pretty wet, and but I know it's a lot different trapping from where you're at.
Oh, yeah.
And other parts of the country. You trap all over the country and get around, and we're in what they call the last great fox stronghold here in the U.S. and between PA, Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, we have a pretty good amount of foxes, but the coyotes are moving in. I had one with Glenn Witchy here 2 weeks ago, and it just makes it rough. But between the hunters and the trappers, we're getting rid of them. They seem like they are coexisting. One of my friends, Jim Hassler, actually mentioned that he thinks they are sort of coexisting, but that won't last long. And you've seen that. You've seen that where you're from.
Unfortunately, it's inevitable. The coyote's going to come in, and the only thing we can do is just try to reduce their numbers.
Right. I know you noticed it. How long ago did the coyotes come in and take your foxes out? Where you're from?
About 10 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
10 years ago. I moved up to Bradford County in 1988, and there was no coyotes there yet.
Is that right?
We had a good.
Yep.
We had a good.
But nobody's
population.
up there breaking 100 foxes in a season.
Nobody that I know of.
Yep.
It's like you probably could.
Just have to run probably
But
twice as hard than here.
I mean, you have, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 mile radius that you're doing 100 traps. It's like we'd have to probably go to a different county.
Yeah.
Because we just don't have we have the farmland,
But you have the coyotes.
Exactly. I mean, it's like last year when we were doing my video. I mean, I couldn't keep the coyotes out of my sets.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. You have to set for the biggest animal that you might catch.
Mm-hmm.
So it's now we're using the 1 3/4 or the 2-inch trap.
Yeah.
Just to hold them big buggers. Northern yotes are. I mean, we got some big.
The one we caught with Glenn Witchy was 40 pounds. It looked bigger than that. They always look bigger than what they are, but very powerful. And they do have an effect on the foxes. And of course, we're in a time period now where fur isn't worth much, and so you've got hardly any trappers out there, which is bad because they're not actually getting the coyotes. Thankfully, we have a lot of hunters, so hunters are out there taking them out, and even the farmers and stuff, But anyway, I'm glad you're able to ride along and see this. And I'm going to be going up to your place and doing some trapping up there, and we'll probably film that and stuff. And so I'm glad you had a good time here.
I
And
had a blast.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna go check these traps out and
we start skinning.
Yeah. Now we got a lot to skin. That's a good thing.
Plenty of skin, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Fur Life is proudly sponsored by Uncle Freddy's Gut Glove, the Buck Cage, Comstock Custom Cages, Dusk to Dawn Bow Fishing, Mountain View Guide Service, the Stealth Screen, the Raptor Razor, Night Owl Lures, Wolf Creek Products, J3 Outdoors, PCS Outdoors, Lennon Lures. Today's episode is brought to you by the Raptor Razor. Now let's go set some traps.